Hello Perception Trainers people, welcome back to another video. So today I have a You Asked, I Answered. So the question that I get a lot, this is a You Ask, I Answer often, is why doesn't my own love feel as good as being loved by someone else? When I'm on this self-love path, I'm on the self-love journey, I'm trying to love myself, I'm doing all these tools and these practices that you talk about to love myself. But when I show up to love me, when I sit there to nourish myself, to love myself, to validate myself, it doesn't feel as real. It doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel as relieving. It doesn't feel as safe. It doesn't feel as nurturing as when I get loved by somebody else. Why is that? And the most important main thing we all have to kind of understand here is that, generally speaking, in those places where we're even being triggered to want to show up for ourselves, to want to love ourselves, we are in a state of identifying with the wounded inner child part of ourselves. All right, so again, we've talked about this a lot on this channel, that what most of us call ego, what most of us call our shadow, the bad parts of ourselves, the part of ourselves that scapegoats, that cope, that self-sabotage, that feel afraid and small and helpless and like we are dependent upon people around us, that are searching for a God, that are searching for a mommy or a daddy to save us in some way, that are searching for rescue, that are searching for this external validation, external love, external approval. All that are the parts of ourselves that are stuck in childhood somewhere, that didn't get to learn, that didn't get to grow, that feel that we are still stuck in that temporary childhood reality where approval equaled provision. Because that's what happened in our childhood, right? We had a temporarily codependent relationship with our caregivers because we were not capable of providing for ourselves. We were not capable of aligning with how reality worked for ourselves as infants and small children. Our parents had to take care of us. They had to provide for us. So again, this is where most of our conditioning comes from, the out of alignment beliefs we have of this is how reality works versus how reality actually works, is we were trained that this is how reality is. This is how I get my needs met. I live up to the expectations of my parents, of my caregivers. I live in their reality because that is what made them provide for me. And when the parts of ourselves that learn to be like that didn't get to grow and evolve to see where our parents were wrong, how that's not actually how life works, how life works in a more complicated or a more complex or just different way. Those are the parts of ourselves that are stuck in, I am not safe, I am not going to have what I need, I am not going to get what I want, I'm not going to be provided for, nervous system shut down, unless I'm approved of and accepted by everyone around me. Because our base fundamental understanding of reality was that provision comes from the outside and I am provided for when I am approved of. Provision comes from the outside, and when I am rejected, when the people who are responsible for me don't approve of me, they might not give me what I want and what I need. They are going to shame me. They are going to abandon me. They are going to rescue me instead of helping me learn. And all of these things are against my survival. So now we're in survival mode that says, I need to be loved by the outside world. I need to be accepted by the outside world. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not safe. Because we're not identifying with the adult version of ourselves who is capable of meeting our own needs, who is capable of problem solving, who is capable of being rejected by this boss and getting another job, who's capable of being rejected by this lover and getting another lover, who is capable of being not approved of in general and still figuring out a way of making money and doing all these things. That there's so many gabillion ways to live life. There's so many different options of how we can do things to provide for ourselves, but we're not identifying with that part of ourselves. We're not identifying with the problem solving, open consciousness, adult body self when we're in a state of fear and shutdown and lockdown and being rejected. We're feeling like we're that child who, if we get rejected, if we get abandoned, if we get scolded, we're fucked. We're screwed. We can't provide for ourselves. We're going to die. So this is why your love doesn't feel as potent and as pertinent in those moments as love from someone else. Because again, we're all trained and conditioned that we're not safe, we're not going to survive unless the people around us are approving of us. Because as we move out of childhood, we may get out of our parents' house and out of our caregivers' homes, but then we project that same system onto our friends, onto our partners, onto our coworkers, onto our bosses. We project this same system of, okay, now these are my providers, and these are the circle of people that need to approve of me before I can get my needs met, before I'm safe, before I'm okay. And if these people reject me, they will stop doing for me the things that I currently rely on them to do. And when they do that, I can't do it for myself, and we don't have a picture that there could be other ways of getting it met. All we feel is that we're not going to get our needs met. So when we're in that state of trying to love ourselves, like I say, generally we're identifying with this small child part that's like, I can't provide for myself. I can't get my own need met. My love doesn't mean anything. Who cares if I love me? Because I can't do anything for me. I'm not my safe place. I'm not my provider. We're not identifying with the adult self. We're identifying with the child who says, who cares if I love me? If I love me, it makes no difference because I am not capable of providing for myself. I am not capable of giving myself what I need. I am not capable of learning, growing, changing, evolving, expanding. I need someone else to do it. So this is why, as we build this self-love, it's really about practicing over and over and over again, coming into the state of the observer, coming into the state of your adult perspective, and seeing, okay, I'm not a child. Like really learning to start to identify where you have power, where you have strength, where you have the capacity to problem solve, where you have the ability to feel something other than that lockdown, I'm a small child and I'm going to be dead if people don't approve of me. And this is a practice. It's really hard. A lot of us have never really felt that way. We've never really connected with that part of ourselves that is a resourceful adult. We've only ever felt good when we've been approved of by people around us. We've only ever felt safe when we've been given love from the outside. And that's why we don't feel like our love is anything, because we've never started to identify with the adult version of ourselves that is capable, that is strong, that has resources, that can do things for ourselves. So as we start to get into the self-love, you're really going to see where you have this kind of gap between yourself, your child self, and your adult self. And working with all the tools that I give you on this channel, working with making it okay to feel how you feel, making it okay to be doing what you're doing, starting to approve of yourself even though it doesn't really feel like anything. Just starting to do these practices even though it doesn't feel as good, it doesn't feel as potent, it doesn't feel as effective as external love. That's okay. It's not going to. This is something you're going to work up to and you're going to build up to over time. More and more and more identifying with the adult version of yourself who is capable, with the part of you that can problem solve, with the part of you that can face problems and figure things out, with the part of you that can just be with your emotions instead of reacting to them. As you do these practices, you build your adult perspective muscles. And then slowly but surely over time, you start to be able to bring that adult perspective self to the child perspective self. And you approve of that child self that is so scared, that feels so abandoned, that feels so alone. And that's how we start to mature the inner child. By cultivating first our awareness of our adult self. Cultivating first that awareness of what it feels like when we're loved by other people. And how can I start to let myself feel that just in a normal day, in a normal time? What would it feel like to be validated or approved by someone else right now? And can I anchor that into myself? What does that feel like? Okay, that's adult love. I'm having it on the inside because it's not actually happening. I'm imagining it. So we start to build that, and then over time, that is what we start to bring to the inner child. And then that is what matures the inner child. So it's a practice. You're feeling this way because you're identified with the child self. That's totally normal. Most of us are. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take slow little steps to build our identification with the adult self. Like I say, with all these other practices I've been giving you, everything on this YouTube channel is going to help you do that. Making it okay that you do what you do. Starting to approve of yourself even when it doesn't feel good to do that. Starting to show up for yourself even when it doesn't feel like anything. Doing it anyways. This is how we start that. More and more. What would it feel like if I got approved of by someone else right now? And can I let myself feel that way even though it's not actually happening? More and more. And even just practically, look at the things that I've been able to do. Look at the things that I have done. Look at what I have accomplished. Look at all the places where I am an adult. Look, I'm in an adult body. I'm not a child. All of these things over time, repetition, 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 building that identification with the adult self and bringing that to the child. Okay? So hope that helps. It's a process. There's nothing wrong with you. One step at a time.